Welcome to the Empowered Life. I am your friend, Ern Inyon. This podcast aims to inspire you to create the life that you want to live. If you are not yet a subscriber, be sure to subscribe and get notified when a new episode is posted. Now let's go on with the show. Hi everyone. A few Sundays ago, I got to play the game of chess with my nephew Pablo and my brother Jun. It was a great feeling to be playing that game again. The last time I played the game was maybe 30 years ago in a company tournament. I was a player in high school. I represented my batch during Sports Fest. I still know the game, and I easily saw the different scenarios and weigh what the best move would be. Chess is a game of strategy. Strategy is about anticipation. In that game, you can't be too focused on playing defense that your offense will suffer. You can't be too focused on playing offense that your defense will suffer. As the game progresses, you have to achieve balance at every given point. In your mind, you have to run different scenarios, 5 or more moves ahead. You have to think like Doctor Strange. In the movie Avengers of Infinity War, he went through 14,605 possibilities on how to defeat Thanos. And the Avengers only won one. That's why he needed to save Tony Stark. I love chess because it mimics what you need to do in life. My wife and I were having a conversation yesterday, and she shared to me that she has a friend who was so stressed because suddenly she lost her job for the past 20 years. She thought she was irreplaceable, but then reality struck. She had to consider different factors: her age, her savings, where she wants to spend the next 10 years, 20 years of her life, and so on. No one really knows what will happen in the future. However, we can place our bet based on probability. It's like playing chess. At the start, you don't really know what your opponent's next move. However, as the game progresses, you can already predict with high accuracy his next move. You can set him up and lure him for a trap, or you can predict based on his habits. So how exactly do we strategize for your future? Here are 5 most important factors to consider. Number 1 is vision. You can't really help a person who doesn't know where he is going. It is like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz when she hit the crossroads when she was walking along the yellow brick road. It doesn't matter which road you take if you don't have a vision. I have spoken to many people, young adults, people in their 40s, 50s, leaders of companies, and sadly, many do not have vision. Having a vision is very, very important. Your vision is your picture of the future. I used to paint before. Before I begin, I already have a picture in my mind how the painting will look like. Same is true with architects, surgeons, engineers, and other professionals. The vision has to be very clear. It is where your plans are anchored. It has, it has become a joke or maybe an endearment by some of our therapists at Trails that every time they hear planning, they think of me. My sister-in-law, for many years, I always ask her about her plans. When she was younger, she would cry after asking her. Many people don't like planning. But you see, planning as a methodology is very simple. So I don't think people really don't like planning. I think it is just the absence of a vision. When my wife Wang became president of her association, the vision was very clear. That was why her team accomplished so many things during their term, as I shared last episode. So how does one create a vision? To create a vision, just imagine the future you want. Don't consider what you have or your current status or state when thinking. Just imagine the future you want. Your vision will be as far as your imagination can go and limited by your beliefs. Often people just project their past into the future. That's why for those who had troubled past and still haven't made peace with it, they'd rather not. If you believe you are doomed for life, you will be afraid to imagine your future. But there are also people whose vision are so limitless. Take Elon Musk, for example. He believes that human beings are meant to be interplanetary species and that we can inhabit Mars. He sold his vision so effectively that many people bought or invested in SpaceX, which is right now one of the most successful companies in the world. At first, your vision would sound crazy and it will feel uneasy if you're used to your comfort zone. You will feel excited if you're the go-getter type. The second uh, factor that you need to consider in strategizing your future is resources. If you love what you're seeing with the future, you need to know what resources you need to get there. Going back to the game of chess, depending on the state of the game, you should know what pieces you need to win the game. There was a point in the game when I was playing with my nephew Pablo that I needed my bishop more than my knight. So I protected the two and didn't agree to a draw. Many people would look at money as the primary resource because most of the time you need money to buy the resources you need. But maybe that's true. But for me, there are other things more important than money, like time, relationship, and peace. I could have gotten a job abroad that would have paid me way enough, more income that I'm receiving now. But that would mean being away from my wife and my son. I could have taken a job in a casino or somewhere else that could have tripled my income, but that will compromise my values and disrupt my peace. So consider the resources you need. The third one is risk. One of the best things that I was fortunate to be trained is audit. I've done internal and external audit, financial operations, and information systems. When I was doing audit, we had to think of different scenarios and the risk that comes with it and categorize them according to low, medium, high, and very high risk. For those high and very high risk, we recommend measures to prevent it or how to contain it if ever it happens. This is risk based audit. I know a lot of people who don't proceed on an endeavor because they saw a barrier. They will say, ay, ang hirap, wag na lang. Then they won't look at the situation anymore. Many people stop dreaming of having a business because they see there are lots of competitors. You need to evaluate your risk. Identify your non-negotiables. Going back to the game of chess, when I was playing my brother Jun, there was a situation when it was okay I will lose my rook because I saw I won't be needing it in my assault. I would need it if my plan A was not going to work. I allowed my rook to be vulnerable, at a certain point, but that strategy gave me a good position for my assault. For me, my non-negotiables are my time with my family. I can be away for a month or maybe two, but for let's say a year, no way. So define your non-negotiables. In evaluating risk, consult experts. As I have said earlier, many say ay ang mahal without even knowing how much does it really cost. Consulting an expert will help you see the picture better. My brother Mike, who is an architect, is my source of truth every time I want to renovate something in the house. Get the facts straight from an expert, then you decide. The fourth one is adaptability. As much as you can think of different scenarios, you cannot think of them all. You have to look at how adaptable you are. Some people call this AQ or adversity quotient. When crisis hits you like COVID-19 pandemic, how adaptable are you to the situation? AQ looks at how resilient you are, how flexible you are, and your ability to find your way out. The COVID-19 pandemic is the black swan of the black swans. Nobody saw this coming except probably a few people. Everyone were caught off guard. Many businesses, even the established ones, closed down because they didn't anticipate this. Trails, our business, was just lucky to get out of it. We were also weren't prepared. Our finances took a huge hit, but we decided not to let go of everyone. We said that what we know, we said to our people that what we need now is for everyone to survive. So whatever money we had, we just divided it uh, to and gave it to everyone. We look beyond salary structure and focus on the objective, which was survival at that time. But I guess what allowed us to make it through was our resolve. We sold whatever we can uh, that can be that we can sell. My wife took courage in being the first to do face-to-face therapy sessions, which allowed others to follow. We were honest and transparent to our landlords and proposed a flexible payment scheme. We cut down all expenses from food we ate to Netflix. But one thing did not cut. There's one thing we did not cut down, and that was Ethan's milk and vitamins, because that was one of our non-negotiables. The fifth factor is desire. Desire separates those who live out their dreams from the dreamers. Ask yourself, how badly do you want your future to happen? If you believe that your future is that important to you, then spend time on how do you make that happen. What motivates you to do all that is your desire. Don't wait to be inspired before you move. If you're looking for inspiration before you act on your dreams, you are in a dangerous spot. Remember, your and your family's future is at stake. Is there anything or anyone more important than that? Isn't it that we work so hard for to give our family a better future? So be clear with your desire. So these are the five most important factors that you need to consider: vision, resources, risk, adaptability, and desire. These are the most important factors that you need to consider when you strategize your future. So to end this episode, work on these five factors. Work on them together with your spouse. Involve your kids if you can. Make them stakeholders so they get involved. Then have fun.
Thank you so much for listening, friends. Please rate and review this podcast and share it to your friends. Until next time, blessings always.